And we're live. Pumbaa, by the way, the intro was great. I don't know why we had something.
You fucked something up again.
Yeah, but I do not have options here in the UI to actually use the old intro. Maybe something was changed. It is not in there.
Man,
yeah.
Let me just post to at everyone that we are actually live.
We are starting very well.
As often, as always. Glorious. Hello, everybody.
That was the most.
The most scuffed. I mean, I think that was just perfect, actually. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Enter the Matrix episodes. Which episode are we on?
26. But I might have been wrong.
We are so back, and this one is obviously about us discussing what happened in, I would say in Coventry, but let's be fucking real, it wasn't really in Coventry, was it? Basically, the ITT results, finally talk about the meta, discuss what has happened in the team's meta with recent changes, Grotma's detachments, and the new codexes, stuff like that. Possibly giving also our thoughts on what is going to happen with Eldari and Guard on its way, which is going to be very interesting. But before we move forward, let's hear it. Typhus, how have you been? Because I know for a fact that there are some updates that you would like us to hear about.
Hello. So first of all, I want to inform everyone that smiling and laughing is very fucking painful for me. So being Polish actually was quite good for the past week or so because I had no surgery and they finally made it breathable for me. But because of it, now if I smile, it fucking hurts a lot. So if you'll see me holding my upper lip, it's because otherwise the upper lip just fucking hits like plates that are stabilizing my nostrils, which is great. Other than that, I took a break from 40k. I think last event I played was Pyras, which was like end of November. And since then, I think me and Pumbaa were talking like every second week, talking like, oh my God, we have actual lives now that we took a break from 40k. What's going on? What's happening? How is it going? So yeah, I also attended AOS Masters event. I think we can make a complete chapter of that later on, but that game is so fucking shit. I will gladly explain why. Yeah, I've been good. Nice. I have to smile in the Polish way, so imagine that I'm happy. Nathan?
Life has been good. I haven't taken a break from 40k. I've been doing quite a lot of 40k at the moment, but yeah, life's good. Had Nottingham GT, had ITT, which we'll discuss later. Meta's changing, evolving, and still establishing itself. So, all good.
Awesome.
Yourself.
And for me, my actual tournament, last tournament, was the Pyras that we went together to. But in comparison to you, I have not taken the full break, and like
you were there
to be. What up?
You were at the Pyras?
Yes, you fucking idiot! I was in your team, in your own team.
I meant the 1 month later Pyras. Okay, sorry.
I haven't taken a full break from 40k because I'm still doing coaching, so I'm very much up to date with what is happening, and like I'm concocting a lot of lists. I'm playing some games. I'm enjoying the fact that Deathwatch are actually a good army now, which is, by the way, fucking crazy. And I'm a little bit. That's one of the big news, Rez.
What?
I'm gonna be honest. I am a little bit sad that we missed some of the hot takes on Deathwatch, especially when they came out, because I fully expected that army to be good after the index came out, and I had a list, and then Mark Hertel went and won fucking LVO with them, and now everybody is aware of that fact. So I called it, but nobody heard me, and it feels sad.
Not like
Otherwise, what's up?
We wouldn't have listened anyway, so
I know it would have been even fucking better. Everybody would call me a just trolling motherfucker, and then Mark would have won LDO still. But yeah, overall good. Life has been actually very stressful. Apparently, if you're doing full hog renovation at your apartment, things are actually stressful for different reasons than 40k. Weird, I know, but basically a lot of stuff happening. Some 40k still. Definitely not in the. I basically taken a break from the tournament side of things for myself, but I'm doing a lot of coaching and a lot of talking about 40k still, and following all the fucking podcasts and the news. So that's that. And with that, actually, should we? You know what? Let's do it. Before we move into ITT, let's establish ourselves as a new up-and-coming iOS podcast, and let's dedicate those next 10 to 15 minutes for you to Typhus to take us through a journey to your iOS experience and iOS tournament scene. Please.
So, first of all, we went a little bit more try-hard than last year when it comes to this event. We started preparing month before, not 2 weeks before. And it was like, I would even say that I started preparing 2 months before because I chose an army to actually order all the 3D prints and have a nicely painted army. But I also wanted to get a grasp of how the competitive side looks, like what armies are playing, etc. And to my absolute disbelief, there's not a single competitive iOS podcast. Not a single one. There was nothing that I could listen to that would talk about events and tournaments. There was only Honest Wargamer that had the live shows and then re-uploads on YouTube. But there was nothing to get any information from. They do not have one general Discord. The Polish Discord is dead. No one is using it. There is no information sharing. So you have to go in blind using only BCP results from the biggest events, because there's no maturity of either a common use BCP system, because still in other countries they use some different pairing programs like we do in Poland with Championship and whatnot. And that was the biggest problem, because you couldn't get information anywhere other than asking someone who was in any national team and asking them for advice, which was weird. So we decided to just fuck it and try and figure out the game on our own. But this is something that I'm very perplexed about, because I was so used after 40k that if I wanted to jump into a new system, I would have 5 podcasts to just listen to and grasp basic ideas from those. No, it's just non-existent there. That was very surprising.
So what you're saying is there is a niche that needs to be filled.
Exactly.
By a podcast, a competitive iOS podcast.
Exactly.
I'm not suggesting anything, but
Honest Wargamer is doing something like our Tuesday shows. But no, I'm not fucking doing that. After playing the total of 5 games, because the tournament was 5 rounds and they denied us splitting in 5th round. Can you imagine those monsters? Anyway, the system, I think, is how you would compare it to 40k, I find, is that you play 1,300 points of 40k, but the rules are very powerful for singular units. So, for example, my list, which was 2,000 points in AOS, had 3 big bricks, 2 characters, and 1 chaff unit. And that's a common size of an army, that you have 2 free main pieces, 2 free lesser pieces, and maybe 1 chaff just for missions. And nearly all of the lists were you have 4, 5, 6 units, which has its advantages, because you don't really need chess clock if you have 3-hour rounds and you have 40 models and you move 1 unit to do 1 action and you're just done. But furthermore, this game, like shooting is 12 inches to 18 inches. So you're playing very close combat, like very close to each other style game. But I think the most obnoxious stuff is how the rules work for like general buffs. Because you have one CP redeploy, like our D6 reactive move on every unit in the game, but combine this with a game where engagement range is 3 inches. So you need to end within 3, and then you can redeploy away. So if you roll a 6, that's just a natural 9 in charge to do. But now, taking into the account that I was just talking about having 3-4 units in your army. So basically, in your go turn, you move within 3. The guy who rolls just 6 on the fallback, or like reactive move, and then you have to roll a 9 in charge, rerollable for a CP. But if you fail, you just use your whole turn. And then that motherfucker can get his turn, and then that famous double turn to just fucking kill you because he rolled a 6. And like, there's no redundancy in that game. Like, I was thinking about it after the first day because I was playing. By the way, you guys will understand it the most. I took an army that I liked aesthetically, and it turned out to be 40 Deathwing Terminators. I was dying. Like,
oh, that's a beautiful list. What do you mean?
Like,
do you think it was more 40 Termies or 36 Tyranid Warriors, though?
I would have preferred 36 Warriors over this shit, man. Like, I was playing the most, like, so, it was so boring. But, like, and whole AOS is about being wholly within. So you're basically playing one character surrounded by your 3 units, and they are playing one character surrounded by 3. It's wholly within. I had powerful all around my character, which was wholly within 18, not 12 or 9. So I had more space to move around. And then you are playing like missions. Oh, there was one mission which I fucking love. You start the game, deploy fully with 0 objectives on the board. At the start of first round, you randomize where on the middle of the board objective will spawn. After you will deploy.
Supply drop?
It's worse supply drop because if you deploy middle and it's on one corner where upon deploy, you're fucked. Because you cannot do anything. But then on turn 3, after you play 2 turns of that, you spawn another 2. But they are also random. So, and you know how scoring works in AOS? You have usually 2 points for holding 1, 2 points for holding 2, and 2 points for holding more than your opponent, which you score at the end of your turn. There is no primary in our games where you need to hold, stay on the objective for a turn. No, you just go, take away their objectives, then they go, they take away your objectives, and then you go like this for 3 turns until your models die. But those objectives can be random as well. And up to it, double turn, no redundancy because you have.
Is there secondaries?
Which are secondaries are like you choose it at the start of your turn, which are, for example, touch opponent's terrain in his deployments. Some of them are like those secondaries. By the way, another great thing, they were updated. We were hit with like balancing patch 2 weeks before the event, which also hit 3 out of 5 of our lists, which we were choosing, which was great. But like the game is so weird, and objectives are no 40k sized, but like the fact that you have 3-4 units, and for example, your mission that you took, a secondary mission, is take away opponent's objective, which is like, storm hostile, the usual stuff. And you choose it turn by turn, but you need to hit a charge. And they redeploy away from that. And you have only 1 roll. And if you do not do that, the like differentials are each 2-3 points. So you not only lost your secondary mission that you were supposed to do, you also didn't hold an objective, and you didn't hold more because you didn't take away an objective. So you lost 8 points, which was like 3 differentials on 1 failed charge roll. Can you imagine how good the game felt for
I'm gonna
build
be
up?
fucking honest here. The game just doesn't sound fun, especially for me.
Like, and we gave Duda an army that was reliant on 4 pluses. It was so
I
great.
fucking literally trolling by the way.
It needed 4 pluses to work.
You mean that's on you then?
Duda didn't win a single game, okay?
Oh, he must have been fucking ecstatic during that event.
Yes, I also didn't win a single
Knowing
game.
him.
Because it turns out army I
Actually
took had
trolling.
very good win ratio before the nerfs. But it lost like 200 points, but it had good win ratio because it was winning like 11 nines before the nerfs. And I lost 200 points, other army gained 200 points, so I was fighting for 7-8 every game. It was great. And then you failed that 16 charge with rerolls. And you lost 3 differential.
Fucking issue.
It was awful. I will do it again next year.
Let's go. What a fucking pitch. Thank you for that. What a pitch for AOS.
And Skark found, by the way, Skark found a list that had 18 shooting guys with crossbows and 12 birds that were screening and some dogs. So he was teleporting around crossbow guys and tabling his opponents in shooting.
So he was playing Deathwatch. Or like
I don't know. He first tried building 11 elven ballistas, but like
no way, no fucking way. That's incredible.
Anyway, AOS is great if you want to just not care about your results because you can lose on one roll-off.
So on that note, my goal is to go to at least one Old World tournament this year, and do the same with that game because I finally need to try to actually play fantasy for real because it's been too long. Great pitch, by the way. I'm sure GW is about to sponsor us sooner rather than later after that.
They need at least one competitive podcast, right? At least one.
So that's Typhus. The spot is just ripe for the taking.
Vacant. Surely. I'm going, man.
What was your final result?
I think we ended like 10th out of 36 teams. So
respectable.
Okay. Top 10.
First round we faced the team that finished second, which was actually great because 2 of the guys were playing 40k before, and I approached the board and they got me and Duda, the guys who played 40k before, and we're like, man, we don't know shit. We will cheat you on every round because we just don't know the rules. And they gave us intro games, and it was great. So nice, we got one of the best teams first round. They knew us because we faced them last year. So they gave us introduction games, fucking smothered the wall with us. And then we got some good games.
Nice. Actually nice. Awesome. So that was AOS AOS with Typhus. We do recommend going to your nearby AOS tournament. As you can hear, great game. Preferably not played in the tournament setting, but maybe
just
once
for
a year.
Vibes.
Just for vibes.
Yeah.
That's actually a great recommendation.
As a palette cleanser,
and now,
Duda was super crazy about that game. He said that I've never felt so fucked. I will happily come over next year.
That's a recommendation, bro.
Yeah.
Duda losing 5 games and being actually excited about something sounds incredible.
There was one round when he was like super ecstatic that he drew, but then we told him that at least 1 point of difference between both players is already 11-9.
Oh my
and he was so happy that he didn't lose that game and got the 10-10, but he lost 9-11.
Yikes, bro. Aye.
Lovely event.
And now, moving us forward, let's talk about actual 40k. So, what has been happening in the land of England? Let's do some screen sharing. Nope. Where do I? Why can't I? What's going on? I'm having issues sharing screen. Like, maybe I can't.
Have you given access to? We're doing so good today.
We are struggling, yes, but that never has been an issue for me. So I'm very confused right now.
Nathan, you mentioned that you could have told me about AOS. Have you forayed into the Land of Unknown as well before?
I played first edition.
Oh yeah, that one was even worse.
Yeah, because a few of us were kind of getting into it, and then like Alex Harrison got into it quite a lot, which is the scene absolutely loved him being involved because
Surely,
he took the
as
most
every scene does.
scuffed, badly painted gunline army to people's. I'm going to take my fancy orc army and would literally go. There's no terrain on these tables, so I'm just going to.
Oh yeah, by the way, that's also true.
Is that still the truth? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, like I used to play fantasy a lot more than 40k. My main competitive game was fantasy, but I mostly moved back over to 40k when that died a horrible death. So I've got quite a few AOS armies that because I don't really sell anything. So yeah, it's one of those. Like I should try it again sometime, but I have no interest in it right now.
So if you have an equivalent of Polish Team Championship of AOS happening, I really suggest you bring like 5 lads from your UK team, whatever, like the national members, and try to figure it out as a pilot manager. Like those 2-3 weeks of just figuring out something new and going to an event knowing that you have no clue about any pairings. What works?
Yeah.
It's so refreshing. Like I genuinely mean it. For me, when I was burned out from 40k, this was a really nice breath of fresh air.
Yeah, it's nice.
Gave me so.
You can just focus on something totally different while still playing a similar game, at least. Yeah,
exactly. And by the way, one thing that is awful, they have the triple coherency. I mean, you need to from 7 models upwards. You need to have 2 models within, like in those triangles. But whole AOS has half-inch coherency instead of 2 inches.
Yeah, you might as well.
It is so bad.
You basically put them next to each other.
Yeah, you're basically running as a block and pushing the blocks into each other.
It's blocks that can turn shape easier. But then again, I've played some old world games, and unless tournament organizers have their own rule set, the game is utterly busted.
Yeah, I've heard so.
Can anyone click the link and try to share? I have no fucking idea why it isn't working for me, but it just refuses to share anything from my end, which I never had happen to me ever before.
I just don't have BCP when it comes to the subscription, so maybe Nathan. We're doing great.
Man, that hasn't been an issue ever. So I'm very confused.
You said that you are on a new setup, right?
Yes, I am on a different computer than usual.
Yeah.
But I didn't expect that to happen because it never...
So, Ben, when it comes to AOS armies, I suggest you pick up none. But if you were to go to any events, I suggest you just take whatever fancies your eyes. That's something that I've learned after playing this event. It just doesn't matter what you're playing. It's mostly like the game is so fucking flat, it's insane.
Is it so like legitimately no difference between the armies or what?
No, but like you're playing 4 bricks around 1 character, right? Like just take whatever you like. And there's no rule of 3 there, so there are armies like 11 fucking giant Ice Age task horns or whatever. How about that?
I think I've done it. Nothing. I've changed nothing, and it worked.
Typical.
Typical. Expect nothing else.
Okay,
Awesome.
it is.
So, finally, we can talk about what the fuck happened there. So, congratulations to none other than Mind Goblins for taking down the biggest team tournament I think that has happened in the recent history. How many teams were there? Like 140?
Yeah, there was 140.
Which is basically like we are reaching Talavera numbers, right? Incredible.
Like the first ITTs, we ranked like 24 teams.
Yeah, I don't remember that. So a lot has changed. Let's talk about some team rosters and let's talk about what we think about the team compositions of teams that have taken the reigning top 5 spots, I think, because there's some other mentions, of course, but I do think the 5 teams that you can see here on the screen.
I would surely cut on the 8th spot, not include 9th.
Yeah, 9th, 8th is possibly we can talk about, but 9th, I'm sure there's like no notable players there, so I think we can just literally skip that. Moving us forward. Mind Goblins. None other, like the reigning champions, the team that keeps on absolutely demolishing this event for some reason. Again and again and again. I do remember them coming, I think, second last year when we went. Was it last year or was it 2 years ago? When we went as Team Poland. I do remember them playing in the finals against Team England, who have
I think it was 3 years ago, man.
2 years most though.
Yeah, like last year was the two major finals last year were England Ignite England. Oh, sorry, we called ourselves Team Extinguish because we were idiots.
Yes, of course. Of course you did. Also included Ines, famous Team England player.
Exactly.
So, step by step, we have Dom Maidlow on guard, Astra Militarum, Bridgehead. Why am I not logged in? Give me a second. I'm struggling today.
Okay.
So badly.
You mentioned Bridgehead.
Bridgehead,
some time.
We can just I think we can be very straightforward with Bridgehead. Bridgehead are the
What is that?
boogeyman. That is my opinion. I think if there's one army right now, before Elder arrived, that is, if you need to have it in your team composition, it's Bridgehead.
Why? Because I have no understanding.
So, yeah, there's a at the moment there's kind of an established top 3 armies in the game. Bridgehead is one of those. What Bridgehead is it buffs Scion units. So basically, you take 10-man Scion units with Tempestus command squads. So they get like Philippanes, orders, everything else. When they arrive, they get +1 to wound. So it's a lot of deep striking stuff. It gets pluses to wound. You get loads of orders, and you also they have CP manipulation with the fact that they can reclaw some points, as well as just having all the silly order buffs that they've had before. And then a lot of the strats also help you just do a lot more damage. Like their rapid fire weapons will get like extra strength, extra AP, which when you get the extra to wound, they just drag the stuff down. And they are a little bit stat checky in can you kill 15-man squads with extra save and 6 up for
and they can feel pain, right?
Yeah, they just become annoying to deal with.
Yeah, this is a version that doesn't include any Death Creek squads, for example, which I've seen are quite common as well. Instead has 2 tank commanders and just actually gun squads aren't that standard. I think I've seen them some of the time, but aren't necessarily in every single list. And only 1, 2, and 4 squares of science with 3 command
9
squads,
mortars.
Right? 9
mortars being very popular.
Yep, very popular to combat anything that is basically elves. But with their buffs, the mortars are actually quite valid, I think, and I think they will become even more popular as time flies, because this list is basically the boogeyman right now. It is incredibly strong. It shoots like a hell. This deals so much damage from those 120 point squads. With, like, if you include the command squad in there, it gets on the verge of 200 points, but they deal so fucking damage. It's incredible. It has like this 6-inch deep strike. It has additional AP.
Okay, so there's a strat for a 6-inch deep strike, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
This is very much in line of, if this is teleporting gun, right? So if you've got like Deathwatch, which is teleporting gun, but this is kind of the same thing, but instead on much weaker defensively squads, sure, but also incredibly less expensive, right? And there is a lot of it still, which is a huge difference.
They also reroll when you're on an objective to hit.
Yes, of course they do.
Yeah. So they're pretty consistent.
But come on, as we've learned with Renegade Raiders, you just do not stand on objectives, right?
Basically, yeah. It's beatable. It's tough for anybody to play.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, the most, I think,
it's a lot of OC as well as typical guard
Yes.
plays, right? So it's
Exactly.
just very good at denying you primary and secondary you of the board, I imagine.
Yeah,
Precisely.
with Katachans, like scouting, you just pop an order on them. They become OC3 each for 65 points. It's incredibly annoying.
This is basically, I think, a list that is, especially with how good it is positioned in the meta and how many answers it requires, as in especially it forces some of the lists to answer them. And with how they are, I found them to be especially good against melee pressure lists, stuff like that. Things like creations, things like world leaders, stuff like that. Just fucking hates those things. It's kind of doomed in that sense, and because of that, I think they just are a must-have army in team composition. That is my number one pick, actually. And maybe Space Marines are the second one. And there's a lot of valuable options, but I think it's going to be very common to see Bridgehead around. So just be aware that this is the current kind of reigning champion, I would say. Moving us forward, man, my PC just refuses to cooperate with me today. I swear. It's very weird and actually annoying.
Okay, time to read the detachment.
The what? The Bridgehead?
Yeah.
So it is. Then we've got actually Leagues of Votann, which is a very unusual pick, I find. I wouldn't have picked them as one of the armies that are going to be so prevalent, but it did incredibly well.
Yeah, like a slight caveat is we are playing on UK GT terrain, not
Of course.
GW or
Of course.
Which this is a little bit better on those type of terrain.
Yeah, all those gun lines will be slightly better than WTC.
Yes and no. They are. The middle is very, very open. Realistically, it's quite hard to hide on objectives, but deployment zones are it's very hard to actually shoot somebody out of their deployment zone.
Yep, 100%. But it is as excessively difficult, I found, to be holding primary, and like even side objectives sometimes are very difficult to hold on those maps, depending on deployments. So this is a triple Berserk, one single land fortress, and 5 Sagittarius version. That's basically it. No big squad of pioneers, no Terminators, or whatever they are called. Yeah.
Half guard.
So definitely not non-standard, I would say, in terms of the armies that I would consider to be the best in 5-man's team composition. But we are talking 5-man's. It's kind of, you are taking the army that you are best with most of the time and still doing okay with it. Next up, we've got
How many birds?
man, I'm annoyed because I need to, for some reason, I need to switch every single time to weird. How many bears in Skitarian cohort? All the birds, I believe. 2 martial, no, 3 martial. That's standard manipulous. Rangers, vanguard. Yup. Birds. No,
6
just one squad of Silverazers, actually. So less birds than I would expect. But the big squad of Breachers is here, which is
Yeah,
like
but
the defining factor. Yeah.
There are 6 squads of birds, only 2 times 10. Only 1 time. Oh, no.
No.
Okay.
It's 3
No.
times
It's only
5 plus 1
25.
times 10. Way less
Okay.
birds than I would expect from standard cohort. But 2 squads of infiltrators and a
And
squad of
Rostov.
bigger stackers, actually. That's
So
interesting.
this-
I haven't seen that.
This is Johnny. Johnny is one of the
Mhm.
best players in the UK at the moment.
Nice.
Solos, AdMech, works with Josh, one of Josh's co-workers. And his initial plan was to be like a blunt, and if it goes first, it can just keep you in deployment zone, which is what this is very good at this event.
Mhm.
And then he was the second highest scorer, given the fact that he played 6 games, not 5. But still was one of the highest scorers at the event.
Nice. So, AdMech is still basically forgotten about, right? I think, as previously, I haven't seen them being anywhere near actual talks about the top tables. I haven't seen them win any GTs. They are kind of meh in stats. And they are still incredibly good in the hands of good players, and especially if you don't expect what they can do. It keeps happening, and I think it will keep happening. I cannot imagine this army going not being useful in some sense. I mean, this is one of the reasons why at WTC we actually decided to bring them. But I also think that this is kind of a player situation, right? As in, like, you have a specialist still.
Yeah.
Playing them.
Yeah, it runs that line of people, even if you vaguely know what it does, good luck trying to get lots of valuable reps against it, because unless you have a very good AdMech player available, you don't know what this does. A very good AdMech player can leverage that extremely well. So good luck trying to get out your deployment zone.
It keeps happening. It's actually a little funny to me, but I'm saying that, but I have not played against AdMech since WTC or anything like that. So again, same thing basically. Bonk. Next up, we've got Bloodless Angels, I think, but a very different take than what Ines run. So we've got basically Bloodless Marines with Eliminator Arsenal Group, but it's Iron Hands, Iron Storm. Very weird take and very interesting, I think. Yep. So, Typhus, are you aware of the changes to oaths?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I know that.
So,
and I know that you can do it if you do not
wounds.
have any chapter units.
Exactly.
Except Ultramarines, apparently.
Basically, if you don't have any chapter like Blood Angels that watch Space of yeah, exactly, non-compliant chapters. But Blood Angels without Blood Angel units are a thing. Ines run them at LVO, at Nottingham as well. Did very well with at both events. Not good enough to win ITC, unfortunately. Actual Sag. Still great. Very good potential in that list, but this is a completely different take, I think, which is quite exciting. And this feels very UKTC pilled, if I'm going to be honest. So it's just 3 Tech Marines in terms of characters. You've got 3 Assault Intercessors with 1 squad of just normal Intercessors, 3 Assault JPIs, like the standard, one of the best units, especially in LAG. 3 Ballistic Dreadnoughts, 1 squad of infiltrators, 3 predator destructors, a repulsor, squad scout, hammer strike. Basically, it's like 3 ballistas, 3 predators destructors, very good, very efficient combat unit, especially with the +1 to wound, assaults, intercessors rerolling stuff, tech marines being kind of fucking crazy, especially if some vehicle dies next to them. And this benefits from +1 to wound extensively, while being way, way, way better than anything that things like Arrow Storm could bring in terms of trading melee units, right? Because like the 3 squads of JPIs, the 3 squads of Assault Intercessors with the Repulsor, I feel like change a lot of matchups. Myself, I would suspect that this is going to be one of the more interesting lists that we see out of this event. And this list also proves to me that Space Marines right now are in a wild place, as in you can play 1,000 different things, I think. And if you have if you find something that you really like about Space Marines, and you have a very well-prepared and thought-out game plan of what this list is trying to achieve, you can bring any build of Space Marines, and I think you can do absolutely amazing with it. Because we've seen everything from like the standard Gladius Ultramarines, like the Deathwatch angle, like the Bloodless Angels. Legit, I think sky is the limit. And for example, one of the things I really want to check out is maybe look at some of the French events right now. I would love what, for example, Oliver Weiss is playing right now, because I'm sure it's fucking bonkers with the breadth of what Space Marines have to offer right now, right?
Yep.
So myself, I give this a thumbs up, big thumbs up in terms of proving that a very non-standard list can work incredibly well with the right pilot and the right idea. Like it's not super complicated, right? It's just taking good datasheets in Space Marines with +1 to wound, but instead of taking them like in Ironstorm, you are making use of your Liberator as a group buffs for your trading pieces. So I actually really enjoyed it, like Space Marines. And the last one, let me double check I have it open. Yep. Bonk. Arion? Yes. Typhus. Are you aware of Orcs, Green Lords and Sages?
I've read it, but I couldn't assess how good it will be. I've heard it will be good. Brian was super happy about it, so probably it is good.
It's fucking bonkers.
Okay,
Nathan,
why?
Would you care to explain to Typhus why is this so good?
Yeah, so realistically right now, the top 3 are Marines of some description, Bridgehead, and Orcs. And Orcs would be my number 1 pick. Played in a certain way.
What the fuck?
So tactics, you basically get guard orders. And they do them slightly better than guard, ironically. Because you can kind of have 2 orders and on everything. You might take some mortals, and half the time, to be honest, you actually don't take the second order. But effectively, you're now getting... You have a big mech in Mega Armor with the mech captain who joins the Flash Kit, which basically gives you your old...
Badrook. Yeah.
Badrook unit. And they now have a 4+ invuln, which is always fun. Against shooting, I think, only. So that gives you a... This is going to come out, kill anything, and then if you try to move anything, it's also going to get overwatched and died. So that's always fun. Then the biggest change that this took was the introduction of the 2 kill team sets, the tank busters and the what are they called again? The scroll down, would you? I've forgotten the names. If he has got them or not. What are they?
What?
Not the tank busters, the other unit.
The fucking
Boobabu. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, he isn't running the how are they
Breaker
called?
Boys. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right, Breaker Boys.
He isn't running Breaker Boys in this. What the fuck is going on, by the way?
Okay, that's a choice. Like there is a choice
That's
between
crazy.
knobs and Breaker
That is
Boys.
crazy.
Knobs being cheaper and getting a lot more attacks, but Breaker Boys having the anti-vehicle, anti-monster 4+,
That's
flat
crazy.
3 damage, and they get 6-man units, but they are 35 points more. So there becomes that little bit of discussion you have between the two. A lot of people are taking Breaker Boys because in a very tank-heavy meta, you've got 4+ wounding, flat 3 damage, which you can give them +1 to hit from orders and whatnot. So that makes them very, very powerful. The list still applies the same amount of pressure as Orcs. You've got the potential to also give units stealth. So you get, in your Warg turn, you can stealth things because units like the Tank Busters who already have the big mechs in them are already kind of getting +1 to hit when they shoot vehicles, which their profile is D3 shots, strength 9, flat damage 3, AP 2, but they're also blast. So while some people, like me originally, thought that they had a frag profile, oh no. It's when you play Horde armies, it is I'm getting 63 plus 24 if it's a 20-man unit, strength 9 -2 flat 3 damage, which is just rude if you ask me, and they hit on 3s. So that's always fun. Orcs can shoot now, real good.
Yeah, that's the.
Yeah.
Look, this happens every fucking edition. If you allow orcs to shoot well, this is always about to happen.
True. Every time I remember orcs being absolutely broken,
it was in shooting.
They were a gun line.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Remember the Luta bomb? I remember the Luta bomb. I still have fucking marks on my ass from getting blasted by
I played that.
unkillable Luta bomb. Fuck off. I still remember growth sheets. I remember the Luta bomb shooting twice. I'm fine. I don't need to deal with this. What my question actually about orcs is, do you think, because this detachment is great and the Breaker Boys are amazing and the Tank Busters shoot like fucking crazy, but would have changing the WA to be what it is right now be enough to put them in a prime position in any detachment? Because I think it would.
So the Warg change is good, was very well deserved. It didn't make sense the way it was before. So I agree to that aspect, but actually outside of tactics, Warhorde is okay in certain matchups. Other than that, you can take Bully Boys. Bully Boys, again, are quite decent, but tactics actually gives you I can play in all phases a lot better. Because like Tank Busters outside of this attachment, not great. It's one of those, I think they definitely got a buff from multiple different angles, but I would still say that this list is possibly only towards the top because it's meta. It's almost anti-meta in the fact that it is good at killing what is popular right now. If the meta were to shift, this would naturally just kind of change its position.
Which,
that's interesting.
This topic reminds me another thing that was lovely about AOS. I played 5 games with no shooting units. In that game, there's only like 2-3 armies that shoot. So
shooting is for scrubs.
Yeah,
ask Anthony.
You're playing melee armies with redeploys and reactive moves everywhere.
Anthony is constantly putting shooting in his combined arms CSN now. Scrub.
Disgusting. How far the might
That's just a bit. Actually,
I was out for 2 months and Anthony is playing shooting.
Yeah, but it's, I mean, you do what you have to do. World Eaters apparently not good for singles still. Who knew? So that was the first team. Overall, we've got I think the shout out goes for me for the Space Marine list, although very kind of box standard in terms of unit choices. It's very interesting to me that it utilized the Bloodless Ages idea in completely different way than, for example, Innis did. AdMech being their second biggest scorer of the event is fucking AdMech things. And then they basically had like the best armies. The Votann are a standout, I think. I think taking that.
Yeah, I think the new Votann detachment isn't playable, right?
No, the new Votann, they don't have a new attachment. They just forget.
So same as T-Sons and Sisters noted.
Yeah, basically the same. Yeah. All right, let's move us forward to another team, which was Vanguard Tactics. So they brought Death Guard, which I am a fan of. Oh, it's changed though. It switched over. It's a Blade Company, this, by the way. So none of this. What's the new one called? Something.
Cloud of Flies or something, but it's ass.
No. It's like move fast, but we're Death Shroud, and I mean I liked it. When it came out, I think we talked about the fact that I enjoyed playing Death Guard in a different way. And then after playing some games and with the few new detachments after they came out, because that one I think was the very first, I decided that I no longer like playing Death Guard in that way because it absolutely does not compare to the strength of the old one in terms of meta choices and how it performs against so Fly Blown Host, I think it was called, right? Or something like that.
Yeah.
Basically, unfortunately, suddenly from the bottom of my heart, not a thing. So this one is Blade Company. It has an icon bearer to extend the range of your contagions. It has Morty because Morty is the best Primarch until Frogrim comes out, maybe. One squad of Plague Marines in a Rhino, 3 squads of Scouting Cultists, 3 Predator Destructors, 3 Blood Drones, 3 PBCs.
Okay, so something like
Carnivore.
Nathan was playing.
Yes.
Yeah, like 2 weeks before this, I took Plague Storm to Nottingham, and then I had about 8 people come up to me like, I've copied your list, similar list to this. I just didn't have Predator Annihilators yet. So yeah, yep. That was quite common for me.
So it is Plague Storm, so basically the same thing as Nathan was playing at this event. What would you say about this list? All right, actually, let's do it a different way. I have a very interesting take about this, or like maybe you will tell me what you think about my opinion of how this plays, because let's be honest, it isn't actually that far off what I've been playing at Pyra, stuff like that, and previously. It's like Morty and a lot of bodies, but it's even more to the extreme side, right? Because the difference is this has at least like a squad of Plague Marines and a Rhino and the Icon Bearer to extend the contagion ranges, stuff like that. Yours is basically 2 squad of cultists and then toughness 9 or above,
yeah.
right?
So he's got the Icon Bearer with the Rhino and Plague Marine squad. So yeah, it gives him the extra contagion range and also like a 17 OC dump of 6 models because the Icon Bearer also gives you +1 OC. Whereas I have the 2 Predator Annihilators. So basically, my list is 12 tanks, Morty, and 2 units of cultists, with the idea that effectively, other than one matchup, I don't have a bad matchup.
Yep. And I think that is kind of the case. Would you say your bad matchup is Gladius Ultramarines?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Josh pushed my
that
shit
was my
enough times.
That was my assumption. I actually played that matchup recently. It felt kind of rough because you're trying to die slowly and kill some things, and it's like you're not that great at killing ballistas, dreadnoughts / vindicators on range, and then you cannot rely on you not dying because Ultramarines with like the +1 2 and oaths and double oaths will literally just fucking kill anything they want with their consistency. But yeah, so my take is this army dies slowly while winning on primary and killing some stuff, right? If it hits the right profile, if it plays profiles that it can kill effectively, which the Preds are good into, for example, or the PBCs or the Flamers, it gets way easier and way better. But its damage output against especially very heavy things, very tough profiles, isn't that amazing unless you really penetrate with the last cannons, right? Which is still swingy. What's your take about on that?
Kind of the opposite.
Okay.
From the games I've played with it, you don't score primary super well in the first couple of turns. You set up a lot of traps, but especially in singles when people have to chase the game, and to be honest, even at the things, in all at Nottingham GT and ITT, I almost tabled everybody I played. It's just score differential doesn't always go your way because, basically all the games I've played is I launch my army, you bring out your limited anti-tank, it kills 1 or 2 tanks, and then I kill your anti-tank. So fine, you kill 5 tanks. I have 7 and Morty to kill your whole army. Because you can't stop me now. And that's just kind of how those games have gone a lot. Now, it might be a case of people haven't played against it a lot. It's not the stresses. Like, I haven't stress tested it against, like, loads and loads of pro players on the worst tables.
So this sounds like CK. Why is this better than CK then?
Contagion is just massive. It makes you so much better at killing stuff. So let's say my list.
It's tougher.
12 las cannons, 6 of which get to completely reroll damage. Then you've got 3 auto cannons, all the flamers, but also the actual indirect from PBCs in the meta right now is amazing. Where you go, if I play another gun line or I play something else, I go, okay, I've killed all your chaff units now. Good luck scoring. You have to score. You have to do primary and actions with your shooting units. So you're not going to score anything either. So I will get 85 plus, even though most of my games are like low 90s, and then most people just die. You play elite infantry armies or you play Slanesh armies and go, I literally don't care. You can charge me all day. -1 damage. I can even go -1 hit with my contagion, and you just win that attrition war all day.
Yep, that's the thing. I think that the big difference between this and CK is this is way tougher, in my opinion.
And there's something
because
that I
of
see is quite...
PBC profiles, you've got stealth. You've got things like Morty, which are just bullet sponges.
Mortarian makes this up. Being able to ignore modifiers is just enormous. And then obviously, so like when you're shooting, you lob a cultist unit forward and go strip cover and heavy, and then your las cannons are hitting on 2s, and then they wound on 3s or your 1s, and they get a Tyran effects can't blanket damage, they can't smoke, they can't AOC, they can't. You can, because you strip cover, you can even make one of the las cannon Preds AP4, so a tank just doesn't have a save. It's things like that. You can just start auto killing stuff, and they just lose attrition games. Oh, and it beats guard, which is also really useful in pairings.
Yep, I can see that 100%.
Because you just screen out with the vehicles you don't care about, and then they kill those, and then you kill his big spots.
Yeah, killing guard, that should be for this army. I do like it a lot. I think this is one of the armies that I will have the most fun playing right now. But alas, that which awaits for me. Finally,
this I haven't stress tested it enough on WTC terrain. So UK GT, fantastic. WTC, we'll see. Probably has to pick a board if it's playing on WTC terrain.
Moving us forward is Anvil Siege Force with Ultramarines without Gilliman, but with Calgary.
So Siege Force is quite popular in the UK at the moment.
I've seen this, and this is the one which I don't understand. And I've even seen Ines mention it.
What is going on?
Siege Force is the previously bad one. Please correct me. This is the one where you get minuses. It's basically more tough, right? It's more durable.
Yeah,
or am I missing the point?
No. So basically, for teams, it has kind of a place because of the indirect unit. Because you have strats that do
the desos, right? I've heard the desos in this detachment are especially good.
Okay.
Yes.
So if you have heavy and you stay stationary, you have +1 to wound. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair.
So
I can see
the squad of desos being very good here.
Yeah, and there's like strats to give them, I think, 5 up, sustained or something as well.
Oh yes, that's the thing.
So into certain matchups, that desolation unit it picks up 20-man units. So that's kind of where, and then with the Gladius Reaper, it kind of plays those, while still having if you leave a Vindicator alive and it can just stand still, it now hits on 2s. So it'll hit on, if you oath something, you hit on 2s with rerolls, and you wound everything in the game on 2s. So it becomes, if you're going to shoot a Vindicator, you better kill it. Or
Special fucking shout out for including one Infernus squad. I have not seen this unit played, I think, on the...
They got bonus AP, right?
Yeah, they got a boost, and now with +1 to wound, they actually do stuff.
Yeah.
This, if I really loved the previous Bloodless Angels, this proves to me that there is no fucking way that you cannot play every single detachment in the current version of Space Marines and can do it. There is no fucking way. There is no way there isn't I don't know.
There's a Salamanders list that's really good that you can play.
That's what I mean.
It's basically the old Sisters Flamestorm.
So now we know what Oliver is playing.
Man. I expect Oliver to play shit like, I don't know, Shrikelis or something like that. I will be very excited. Or Imperial Fists or something. That is the level of anxiety I expect from him. And I might message him after this just to see if he wants to share anything, because I would love to fucking see what he's cooking. Then we've got Bridgehead, which is
pretty standard.
Pretty standard, but no tank commanders. I'm double checking myself. No tank commanders, and there's the Death Corps or Krieg, right? Unit, which is the biggest difference. With some Field Ordnance batteries.
2 Rogel Dawns.
2 Rogel Dawns instead of the tank commanders. That's fair. So changes, same, but different, but still same. Got it. Yeah. We will not focus on it since we've talked about this extensively. We've got none other than Mike Porter back from the hiatus on Biosanctic. No other than Biosanctic, still kicking. All right.
Okay,
we need to talk about this. So, which of the GSC detachment is the best right now?
They are all playable.
Yes.
Pretty much. I think Biosantic or the one in issues this weekend are probably kind of the front runners. But the new Grotmus detachment is very good.
Is it not final? What is it called? Final hour?
Final day.
Final day.
Yeah, the new Grotmus is very good. I think you might struggle to use it in 8-man teams because it kind of uses your NID army as well. But that comes down to army comp. There's at least 3 very playable detachments, and you can still kind of play the OC dump list, but it's not as good. But it's
wasn't Ines playing the OC dump list?
Yeah, he was playing Host of Ascension, the 161 model.
I was thinking about is it the Cog one? The one
Rusted Claw,
Rusted Claw or whatever it is. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Rusted Claw, I think, is the mostly out. I agree.
Yeah, I played it at Nottingham GT, and I was like, it's not what it was.
But this is very similar, right? It still
very much works. Yeah.
Yep.
And at least you don't have the chance of bringing your whole army back, but you can plan your turns a lot better now with what you can and can't bring back.
Basically, this falls in line with what was said about GSC. I think they suffered from faction abandonment after their incredible spike in popularity and results, and then getting very much more. I think this is basically them setting back to standard as under the radar. We are still really fucking good if you put the time in, and now you can even benefit from the change instead of it being coming back from reserves or like additional units being random. I do think this is kind of in line of what a lot of people said about the faction and what will happen to it. And then the last list of Vanguard Tactics was Custodes, piloted by Boxy. Very standard strike force, so not the new detachment. Venatari Wardens. I think the one standout is the Shield Captain Donigel.
Yeah,
right?
3/2/2 Terminators, which you don't see that often.
Yeah.
And Boxy was the highest scorer at the event, so shout out Boxy.
Nice. There is quite a lot of Versus Praetors as well, so 2 bikes and the captain.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people underestimate this army still. I am interested. It is a little bit interesting that this is the old detachment. I think the new one is the one that will become the most popular, and I've seen it played a lot at different events. I think it's actually mid, but it's incredibly easy to put on the table, and if it is, I think, very easy to play it as a defender, lose small, a kind of list. I mean, the new detachment, like the Dreadnoughts list, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's similar-ish to like Crusher. It's got some good elements to it. It's tough to beat. If you can't deal with it, it can beat you. But yeah, it's not the world destroyer that some people made it out to be.
What has Ignite brought? Just quickly. Emperor's Children, Boris. Emperor's Children, my ass.
It's veterans.
It's Veterans of the Long War with Fabius. Okay, it's this thing. So this is basically
similar to Liam's list.
Liam's list, right? Kind of Liam's vibes.
You get the Nemesis Claw unit now, which basically wins you combat matchups, because that is obnoxious as a unit. Sorry. For those that don't know, basically in combat, the opposing unit can't use any strats. Basically that combined with Cypher just kind of means that you win. And then the Fabius Bile chosen unit just slaps.
Yeah, key piece here being the chosen Fabius unit, I think. One of the crowd's favorite, I think, in terms of killing power and general potential on the table. One of the biggest Death Star unit kind of situations that we have.
For sure.
Or a regular one.
We have Brian on the bad version of Tactical using Breakaboys. Absolute scrub. How could you?
Yeah, so this is the most spammed version of the list, and it is why it's the best version of the list.
And it says Brian Sipe here?
It does.
But the list looks like Manny, so I'm confused. Weird, I swear. We've got World Eaters on the... Oh, I thought this was the new detachment. I must have been mistaken. No. I was quite excited. This would have been the new detachment. Interesting, I think, from I think this list was concocted with cooperation with Anthony, and it doesn't have the Invocatus. So I'm very interested in that variation. It's like a lot of fucking 8-1. What can I tell?
Yeah.
It's like Spawn and...
Yeah, but it looks like
bound.
something purely for UKTC terrain, right?
Yeah, realistically. Yeah.
I think so. It still has Angron though. I've seen...
Yeah, come on.
I've seen variations of Angron. I've seen the 30 Thermis from Australia, and I've seen... even before WTC and stuff like that, Team England actually talked about bringing Angron-less World Eaters to tournaments. I don't think this is the way, but you could.
Adam also points something very important.
Mm-hmm.
also a money list. Let's not be unfair. I see a pattern in England.
Yeah, actually, that's just 100% fucking fair. Can't argue with that. And the last one, David was on Bridgehead, by the way. If anybody expected David to not play his signature guard when they are so fucking good, it would have
there's
been
so much Death Corps here. 60.
That's the thing. This is the double. This is the like 2 Death Corps Marshal with the 2 times 20 Death Corps of Creed version. Those squads are so fucking difficult to remove.
So even more primary denial and tough units.
Yeah,
even more bodies. Yeah.
And I know David really likes his Ogren squads. He blows their horn every single time I hear him talk about guard, and I do think there's a lot to say about those guys for 60 points, especially. They are kind of difficult to remove. Like they are this awkward place to remove, right? Especially to trade any efficiency into them.
Yeah, you can't half-ass trying to kill them. You do actually have to.
That's the thing, and they are like 60 fucking points, which is this is the World Eaters to spawn situation, kind of, right? Yeah. A lot of different versions. They have kind of similar ideas and some differences, but Ridgehead.
Yockel's list is interesting.
So, why? Because this is bog standard to me, I think. Why is it not?
So, the Norn Emissary is phenomenal on UK GT terrain because there are certain tables where it can. There's 2 rounds you play where there's a table where there is the bottom right-hand ruin. You've got a tiny ruin on it, and you can basically put 1 to 2 models on it if you don't step on the terrain piece. Which, in this case, you can put a Norn Emissary on it to get your 15 OC. Which then makes that objective kind of yours. And there's another kind of table as well where it can do something similar. Actually, the other... So 4 of the tables you can basically go, that just sits there and that is my objective. There's nothing you can do about it. So the rest of my army can go play. There's a few interesting choices. Not having any lone ops for NIDS, interesting. The Trigon is a choice. It definitely got a lot weaker than it used to be. But yeah, NIDS are still in a really blunty, useful place to be in pairings. And he still went 4 wins and a loss, his loss being to Liam, which is Liam.
Is a loss to Liam a loss even?
Yeah.
I don't know. Couldn't be me. Never lost to Liam, by the way. 1 game, 1 draw, baby.
2 games, got 20-0 twice.
Same.
In all.
I have the best score against the Belgian Giant. Let's go. 1 fucking.
Myson, actually, but well.
Out of us 3, fuck off with Myson. What do you mean?
It's harder to be worse.
Truth be told, I very much enjoy that the Terrans make an appearance in the top armies and top teams, because I think they've been, again, after the slate, they've been a little bit forgotten, kind of, competitively. They have this vibe of like nobody is super focusing on them for some reason, and I do think they're frankly great.
But
still,
I think it's been the case with NIDS for as long as I can remember, kind of.
That is true.
Like they are always like, they exist. Like you account that they can be used, but like they're just good.
Yeah, but especially I think in teams they always find the role. Kind of. I do think they would have been even better in 8s than in 5s, because they are this kind of blunter army. I think they work perfectly in that position still. But I'd just like to see them represented, I think. I just like them from team building perspective and team composition perspective, where they are this all reliable. You can take this motherfucking army on the invasion fit. It's been a year or more, and they will give you that 10, or even sometimes win a game for like 12 or 13, something like that. So
yeah, Ignite not
nice
taking Marines is an interesting choice, but otherwise,
it's I think this is the big one, right?
Yeah.
I think this, for example, proves that Marines are
Okay,
the top
so
3,
now a question from a person that's not very well versed.
Yes.
Not taking Marines, isn't that the
Yes.
case that maybe in 5s you can kind of try and pin one army? So imagine if there were like 3 obvious counters for Marines in 5 minutes.
There is no way, man.
Okay, cool.
I think as we've discussed previously, Marines are not that pinnable, because you can try to focus on Ultras Gladius, which is I think the default kind of, but it's gonna be broad estimation. I think it is about 30% of Marines at the tournament.
Okay.
And the rest is going to be some weird build, Bloodless Angels, the actual Blood Angels, some Deathwatch. I think Deathwatch will not be super popular still because of models or general, I think, difficulty of playing the army to some extent compared to other versions. But like, there's so many versions of that army, and it is potentially playing completely differently, right? Like the Bloodless Angels of Innis are a different army and fundamentally will have completely different matchups than the Ultramarine Gladius, for example.
Okay.
So I don't think they are pinnable. What I think this proves is in 5s right now still, you can like just fucking, I want to play this, and I'm kind of good at it, and I'm practiced. So meta is bollocks. You just take whatever's fucking good for you.
Basically, yeah. There were 92 Marine armies, with the sub-factions of roughly Blood Angels took 24, Dark Angels took 12, Space Wolves took 7, Black Templars took 6. But the majority
Black Templars at 6 is fucking jarring. I would consider them to be their worst.
They are pretty bad.
The last, actually, let's just skip the actual team, or rather army compositions, but team compositions of No Name and your team, Nathan. So top 40k, was it called, right?
Okay, so what I see here in No Name is Liam on demons, and I have a question because I remember Ines losing to Slaneshi demons, but we haven't talked about the Slaneshi demons at all. And I remember LVO, it also wasn't a thing. Like, what's the state of this army? Because I got like conflicting news while I was on my hiatus. Like, what was happening?
This, if I said earlier that Guard, Marines, and Orcs were the top 3, this is probably 4th.
Ooh, that's a hot take. Oh, that's a hot take, I think.
It is for teams. For singles, it's a little bit. So this is a very beatable army if you have certain situations. If you get this into the right pairings, it is a nightmare to deal with. So their detachment ability is effectively you can give up fight first for full rerolls of both. So when your fiends charge a Vindicator, you go, cool, you do no damage. You can go first. I don't give a fuck. And then I will kill you with rerolling to wound, dev wounds, damage 2. Keepers are obnoxiously annoying to kill with -1 to hit, 4 up invuln, 5 feel of pain. So a lot of people end up wasting shots at them. Then you've got Seeker Chariots, which is 65 points with like, I think 8 wounds and a 4+ invuln, which just makes them annoying. Then they have 2. They have 2 super annoying strats. One of which is take a battle shock test, which you're -1 to hit no matter what you do, or if you fail it, you just can't shoot that thing. Which, if you've so for example, Ben Jones lost to Slanesh round 1. Sorry to out you, Ben. Lost to Slanesh round 1 at LVO because he brought his Calgar Super Death Star brick out and he went take a battle shock test, failed, and now his 500-point unit is pissing in the wind because he wasn't allowed to shoot Shalaxi. So that's super annoying. But the other one is basically I can bounce wounds from one of my units to another unit. So
Yeah.
you have a contorted epitome behind a wall with 10 demonettes. And the way that works is effectively I shoot you, I then take invulnerable saves on my fiend unit, and then any wounds that do go through, I then get 4+ feel no pains against those mortals that I took on the demonette unit. So
that seems like something that will get FAQ'd at some point.
Probably. So
this is Tau drones all over again, and I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
It seems like a.
It's annoying enough that it can just those two kind of strats, as well as another strat which is just taking a lot of battle shock tests, which are usually at -1 or can be -2. It starts becoming annoying.
Okay, so this army counters gunlines.
Yes, anything that can't punch you back, like your orcs, like your world eaters, those kind of armies that will go, if you want to give up your rerolls, you're getting slapped. But yeah, gun lines, it's good into gun lines, except for Death Guard.
I see it.
Also, it is severely underestimated. I think it has to be said among some circles. I think our own Tuesday show called it the new Drukhari or something like that.
Yeah, it's kind of a bane of the 4-in-1 armies.
Yes.
And if it goes in the right run, I think this is one of those lists, as more and more people play against it or tweak to play it a little bit, it becomes a little less prevalent in the meta. But right now, I think it is actually quite strong.
But to be fair, this looks like Liam army. This is Liam army.
I actually fucking disagree. I don't think this is a Liam's army. I think it looks very good because he's Liam, but I believe this actually is kind of too straightforward for him. And you will see in Liam's army after we can play with elves, with the new elves. Liam on that fucking army will be the most obnoxious thing that has ever happened to Warhammer. That's my call.
Yeah. He's probably playing Harlequins.
There is no way he isn't. He loves them too much. But also like any of the detachment legitimately. But before that happens, because it's about to. So we have Sacco on Creations of Bile.
30 possessed.
Double check myself.
Yeah.
30 possessed Creation of Bile, right?
Yeah,
no, Renegade Raiders, sorry. My mistake.
Renegade
but
Raiders.
it's like the Abbey 30 possessed list, right?
Yep. 30 possessed, 3 predators, some scoring.
Very straightforward.
Really annoying to deal with.
Bruce Guard, double check myself. Yep.
Yeah.
Blood Angels, like proper, right?
Yeah. This was a choice because it was actual Blood Angels.
Yeah, proper Blood Angels with Mephiston and like the fucking Captain with the Warriorfield Warrior, and you've got Dante. It's like the old school Blood Angels.
Yeah,
with
so
Feudalist is written because everybody takes Feudalist is written in Space Marines.
They give themselves rerolls. It's an interesting choice that they took kind of 3 full assault combat armies on terrain that is usually not that favorable to them. But other than that, obviously they did super well. And then, they've got their Dread spam.
Yeah, the Solar Spearhead, right? With the character Telemon, the 1 squad of Wardens. This is 1-to-1.
Triple Telemon, triple Venerable Dreadnought.
Yeah, I've played this. I've played as this. I think this is Folger's list, basically. What he brought to one of the tournaments recently. I think, again, what I've discussed previously, extremely just a brick to defend with. But I legitimately think this army is mid. It isn't very good at winning games, I think.
It's okay. It has issues.
It has issues. That is what the thing. And before we move on to the questions.
Total, TOT.
Total 40k, sorry.
Yeah.
We've got Tactical Brigade with 2 squad of Breaker Boys. Oh my! And only 2 squad of Breaker Tankbusters. Daring today, aren't we? Man, I'm gonna be so over those Tactical Brigades so fast. I can already see myself just checking out every time I see this. With Ines Wilson, stat checks on missing everything Benefactus.
Host of Ascension, yeah.
Cost of Ascension, just missing every shot Benefactus. I've heard that happens a lot to Inus's.
He did do
Brain
that a couple
Boys.
of times.
Yeah, Brain
Yeah.
Boys not being particularly accurate for him. This is just so much fucking stuff, bro.
Yeah.
This brings back memories of all GSC, of them just spamming the table. I think the Vanilla Warhammer played by Josh Roberts in Gladius Darkfest. Ultramarines, by the way, still fucking crazy good. This army is realistically.
Josh scored 99 out of 100, so it did what it was supposed to do.
Exactly. This is just so we mention it, this is Nathan's Plague Storm, as played by Nathan himself. As I've said, Morty, just because of cultists, and then tanks.
Yeah, I lose my
one question I have for you. One very quick question I have for you. One drone with Fleshmore?
You don't need it for UKGT. Just
Okay.
flamers, just more flamers for guard and things like that. It's just a little bit better.
That's fair.
But yeah, as soon as I lose my cultist, I only have to push 13 models around. I'm happy.
Yep, makes sense. And then CSM in the forms of Chaos Cult.
Yeah, another Horde army.
Yep, with the Dark Humans still rocking strong, with just cultists, Traitor Guardsmen. This reminds me of Derek Apache, I think.
Yeah, it's very similar to his list.
Right?
But it has blood crushers. Come on, boys.
It did have blood crushers, which is a baller.
What the fuck? What is going on? What's happening?
So it's just a board pressure control list, which you deal by just going, I've got 3 occult units, loads of cultists, because like Traitor Guardsmen in this detachment, you can take wounds to basically go extra movement, extra advance. They are OC2, which is annoying, and they can just run across the board. And then Blood Crushers just fill up more space, Bloodletters, it's more charging.
Okay.
So
and
yeah,
this
we
is
just
our highest scoring list, just to be clear. So is there anything that we missed? No, this is Boxy's Custodes. We've talked about this. The Donny on AdMech just fucking smashing everybody from nowhere.
But they will be higher because of playing 6 rounds, right?
Yeah, they're playing 6
100%.
games.
100%.
It's weird how it works, like some of them.
I mean, I think there must be a way to differentiate. Oh, what did Josie take?
She took the new detachment.
Again? This is the new detachment, right?
Yeah, this is the new World Eaters detachment, yeah.
Oh my fucking god, what is this monstrosity? I thought they nerfed it to the ground.
Yeah, so it's kind of...
She went 94 points, what the fuck?
I have no clue what this list is.
Oh no.
Yeah, so
no.
very, very quickly, Typhus. Effectively, you get to pick for 3 of your unit champions an extra.
Oh yeah, that one.
Ability,
okay, yeah, that one I know. Okay.
So effectively,
I thought it's the new Chaos Knights, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
No, the new Chaos Knights sucks ass.
It's vessels.
Yeah, so the kind of it's 2 exalted
this one
units
I can
with
see
4 up in Vuns, 5 up Philippine, pretty much all the time, and advance and charge. Break 2 brigands to kind of clear chaff, berserkers and everything else. Demon Princes get a lot better in this detachment. They can go through walls and shit.
So, do you think having better Demon Prince in this list, but this is not on the wings, because this doesn't run Angron, right?
Yeah, so that's where the argument becomes you get the Demon Prince, which increases your invuns, and Demon Prince is a lot better.
This is the 4-up invun guy, so we still don't have anything that flies, which is a little bit scary, but you have brigands, I guess?
Yeah, so it becomes a little bit of he's 210 points for 190 more you've got, or whatever it is. You've got actual more Angron in the other detachment, which has the advance and charge strat and things. Oh no, sorry, the auto advance strat range. So yeah, it becomes it's an interesting choice. But yeah.
I have one thing. NAS's list title reminded me about another great thing in iOS, which was insane in how making that game quicker. That game has no differentiation between defensive profiles. There's nothing except like 2 units, and by 2 units I mean Ghost and Bellacore. Nothing has invulnerable saves. Everything has armor saves.
Yeah.
You have 1 roll to hit, 1 roll to wound.
Yeah.
Then AP and damage, which just goes through like mortal wound, so it just spills over.
Yep.
Yeah.
Literally, you just have more rolls that do not matter. You could make an average or with variance, and it doesn't matter what you're striking at, which is insane because you killed the same 14 archers as well as Bellacore. Like that game is like what is going on? Anyway, yeah. iOS great.
Just in the sense, this is Nassim's guard. It's Bridgehead with mortars. And then we have Edwards, who did incredibly well on Ultraman's outreach shields for us. Well, with Gilliman this time. But same exact idea, right? With the Deso squad and 2 Vindicators this time.
I hate seeing them.
But shout out to Josie especially. I think nobody believed Deso's detachment is going to be any good. I specifically didn't. I thought it was pure ass. Glad to be proven wrong. So
I think it's one of those get it into the right pairings and it works.
And another one of AdMech's incredible runs with the new detachment as well. Man. As a closing thought on like the whole event, boy, in terms of 5s, I think you can legitimately take just anything. Do you disagree? Like, there's clearly top armies, right? There's like Bridgehead, Space Marines, Orcs, I think are the 3 that you've mentioned. I completely agree with.
Yeah, so there's kind of a...
great. But then?
CSM is probably the 5th best.
That's very UK disappealed, I think.
I don't know, like that 30 possessed list Raiders is just great in terms. So, yeah, previously you could get away with your 5-man team by just being what's the best 5 lists in the game. We'll work it out in pairings because they're just strong. Because you don't have the extra 3 slots to be more techie with how you prey on stuff. Whereas now it does feel like you can legitimately take 5 of not even just 12 different armies, but also like within those armies, different attachments.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of like Bridgehead will always usually run through, but like you said earlier, Marines of any description kind of works now. There's a few front runners. Ultramarines is kind of, I still think Gladius Ultramarines is the most reliable all round, just doing what it's supposed to do. But yeah, you can take a lot of good options these days.
Yep. If the WCC were to happen in a month, choosing an 8-man team composition would have been fucking hell. Is my take on it.
Which we'll see at Pyra. I think Pyra.
This
will
is
be very
why
good
I'm very excited
analyze.
for Pyra, and I'm sure we are going to do an episode on Pyra, because this, especially this Pyra Nation that is coming up, has some of the best teams in the world attending. We've got Poland,
and
USA,
we're also traitors to our nation, right, Pumba?
You shut the fuck up.
For shame. I did hear about
What
this.
the
for shame.
What do you? No, I don't know what you're talking about. Legitimately, no idea.
Sure.
Type
We
is
would
literally
never.
trolling.
Never.
I don't know what you're talking about. I would never do such thing. So we will talk about the Pyra in the Pyra episode. But yeah, overall, I love the fact that the meta is so wide from the kind of outside perspective. And in terms of it's going to be very interesting how teams prepare for WTC now and how much they practice. And I think relying on I think this is the moment where you literally just try to establish a system of analyzing armies, because this is going to come up soon. As in, like, we have legitimately billion options of what to take, and everybody is supposed to play 1,000 games into every single thing that is up and coming. So I think trying to figure out a system to gather as much data as possible is going to be crucial.
Yeah, but you also need quality data, so good luck. This sounds awful. I'm glad I'm not on the team this year.
Awful, but is, I think, quite exciting as well. I mean, if I were to prepare for WC right now, it would have been hell, by the way, because you would need to play like against 1,000 options, and it would be so easy to overcook as well, or like take an army that is actually way too out there, basing it on the fact that the meta is very broad. All right, let's move on to the questions so we can go to sleep someday. And we've got some questions for sure. Are you pasting them over, perhaps?
Yep, and I'm
Awesome.
just gonna put them on the screen.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that.
And I will continue doing that while we discuss.
So let's start with the first question. What's the best way for a captain to prepare for 8-man teams in 3 months? The best way to prepare is watch all of our episodes since we've done them. The second best way is to get coaching from me. The third best way is actually proper answer. Focus on data gathering. Focus on on your level of comfort with each of your players' factions, especially in the meta that is so wide. Being very comfortable with your army is crucial, and having a specialist, as in like not jumping from army to army, but instead having someone who has played multiple games on one faction and can deliver you very solid, repeatable scores against certain meta factions is going to be way better.
As a captain looking at this, obviously not knowing the meta fully because I'm not up to date, but if it's at least somewhat true that we're talking about 20 to 20 or even up to 30 like different archetypes that are playable, I would prefer to have 8 players who are playing whatever they feel the most comfortable on, and then you just do magic in pairings and try to figure out the pairings having the data you have, maybe with some slight tweaks for known first defenders. But like, I would go with what your players feel comfortable in.
Yep, agreed. Do you prioritize roles over armies? As in, move aggressive players into armies that can be better swords, or keep players within the faction specialization? Opinions on that? I have mine.
More nowadays than previously. I would agree with that. I think the picking armies now seems to, especially having gone to Pyro with you guys and moved away from the archaic English system of pairings to a more nuanced Polish version of pairings.
Another team.
Yeah, it turns out some people know what they're doing. Not to say that England doesn't. That's not what I meant. But yeah, I think it's
not lately, anyway.
Having roles and having answers to things is what you have to do with your teams, realistically now.
My take on this is, if we are talking, especially if we are talking about being competitive, but to a semi-competitive level, as in if you're not going to WTC, I think this is definitely the way. And I myself have been promoting that. I think it's going to be way fucking easier to not trying to force a player who is uncomfortable with being aggressive into a role where he has to score 20s. And to be honest, it's been the case with even Team Poland players. And I think generally I know there's quite a group of people and quite a big camp of people that say that playstyles are not a thing. I actually disagree with that from experience and from working with multiple players and like my own perspective. So I do think keeping players in their roles, or like if they are more comfortable being scrambles, defenders, scrums, instead of hitters, is quite a good thing.
I genuinely subscribe to the happy players on happy roles with happy lists give you more points. I think they just do.
Yeah.
If you get somebody last minute goes, oh, this fills a problem for our team, but it's not his play style. He's had no reps with the list. He's not going to. Unless they are a savant of a player.
36 warriors.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you have to. That is the case, and I think this is kind of the WTC thing. Sometimes there is an army that has the player. That's the one.
Sure.
Right. What do you think the best use for a Space Marine slot is right now? What factions do you like to make use of heavy boards? So, best use of your Space Marine slot right now, a Death Watch. If not, I subscribe to the idea that it can be anything, and legitimately, you can say that it's Space Marine Gladius or like Ultramarine Gladius.
Yeah.
I think it can be anything.
Yeah, you can legitimately play. There's probably kind of 4 towards the top, like Blood Angels-esque, Ultramarines, whether it's Gladius or whatever. Dark Angels are still very, very good, and Death Watch is good now. So you can literally play any of them.
Pick and choose, fit them if you can, if you have the option, if you have someone who is able to jump around or maybe doesn't have a preference. Try to fit them into your team composition, right? They can fill out a role instead of the other way around. If you have that opportunity, of course. Heavy boards, Bloodless Angels come to mind, Creations of Bile, or any like the 30 possessed CSM list. Slanesh loves them.
Yeah.
I think those are the main ones.
Oh yeah.
Thoughts on AdMech in teams? Where all do you take for them? Anything you have if you have the proper player.
It's usually kind of a blunt team.
Blunter.
Range. Yeah.
I think more of a blunter. Definitely don't expect them to score 20s all over the place, but they might as well do as they did in the ITT. But they are still a faction specialist army. I think, look, if you in terms of lists, look around the internet at like faction specialists for the army. ITT is a good resource, I believe, especially right since it just happened.
And I think Pyra also will be in those 3 weeks.
Yep.
I think we kind of touched up on this. So with so many viable options in teams, a lot more than 8, how do you accurately prepare for the meta and the potential archetypes you might encounter? You just get reps in with your players that are most comfortable with.
Actually,
if you're not WTC team.
Yep. If we are talking 5s, focus on player comfort. I think this is the main issue.
Yeah,
if we are talking 8s, I think this is where you can try and focus on some of the known archetypes and try to counter them. It's going to be very difficult. Just going to be honest. But if we establish that Bridgehead, for example, is going to be in every list, or coming up, Eldari probably will be in every single team composition, especially in 8s, you can try and focus on find weaknesses. It's going to be difficult, and you need to make sure that if you bank on something beating the meta list, it beats it comfortably every single time, for example, and it isn't a fluke. So quality data is important. But so then I think you can spend some of the slots on the armies to just counter a single position or 2, right?
I think you
target something that is extremely popular.
You almost have to, because there's so many viable options now, you almost have to a little bit, how do I put it, dumb it down, rather than being like, I need answers for this specific army. I need answers for tank armies. I need answers for combat armies. I need answers for elite infantry armies. You can, as long as you vaguely have those in place, it helps you deal with mechs that might end up being Death Guard or Ultramarines or whatever. At least it vaguely puts you in the right direction rather than going, we need to be able to beat Bridgehead Guard, and then maybe they didn't take it.
Yep. Archetypes are definitely a thing. That is a good point. How impressive do you think Eldari will be in the new meta when they can score literally every secondary card in the game? I think they will be busted in teams specifically. I think that Codex allows you to, especially if you want to go nuts and focus on a very specific thing, this army can side super hard into some things if they can just comfortably say, I will be never playing that thing. If I can never play out of line of sight shooting and just focus myself on, I don't know, destroying every single tank archetype or heavy infantry archetypes, they will be fucking amazing. I'm sorry, they are Eldar. It happens every single time the Codex comes out. I think they will be extremely oppressive.
I think they will go down a notch when people learn how to play them, which is very difficult because good players will get an absurd amount out of this army. They do potentially sometimes run out of steam later into the game. However, they are definitely going to be the absolute scourge of 4-1 kind of armies. I was talking to Innes all weekend because he stayed over at my parents' house. And if Innes has to play an army like that a couple of times to really know the ins and outs, then us mere mortals probably don't know how that works. So somebody who's going 3-2 at an event is going to play against an Eldar player and is going to probably have a pretty bad gotcha time because it just naturally gotchas you all the time.
Yep.
So it is going to be an unfortunate learning curve for a lot of people to deal with. Whether it wins events, I don't know. I think it will do very well at events, but if I had to play that for 7 rounds and not make a single mistake, that's also quite tough because you are every game having to make the best moves possible because you are moving probably 30 units a turn, potentially.
Yep.
Which sucks.
And if you have out of line of sight shooting available to you, this is the time to bring it again. Say hello to your PBCs and your mortars and field ordnance batteries and all that stuff.
Yeah, get those obliterators out. They'll do something now.
What's the most Polish way to have eggs?
Soup de jour.
Okay. Oh, that's actually legit, right? That is the best answer. Inside a soup?
Yeah. I've hard-boiled in a soup, yeah.
Yeah, hard-boiled in a soup wins. Like, imagine ramen style, but we just hard-boiled that shit and put it into
yeah, there is no marinating now. Fuck that.
No. It just goes in. That's the most. That's wins by far. Nathan,
yeah,
I was thinking like say like scrambled or something.
Scrambled with spring onions? No. Nathan knows better. Like,
Nathan knows the best. I would take like forest mushroom scrambled at second.
With spring onions. Spring onions always.
With spring onions, agreed.
How do we feel about GSC in teams currently? I think we talked about it, right?
Yeah.
They're still really good.
Very good. Host and base, I think, both go very good. The new detachment, very good. I have nothing more to say. How many indications?
Okay.
Indicates 7.
7. Yeah, that's the first part. But I have a question because this is also another thing that I've read, like the new Warbane or however called that detachment was busted, but we didn't see it at ITT at all. Like, what's going on in there? Is that army that good, or am I getting the wrong information?
So I keep hearing this as well, that it's busted. And from, I'm not going to say who, but from some people saying from internal testing and everything else that they are very, very good. I am slightly more of the opinion that they are okay. They don't have really any defensive buffs, so if you play them like you used to play GK, you're probably not going to do so well. Because you don't have the AOC, you don't have the sigil, you don't have the jump away mist. So when your stuff comes down and commits, it does a lot more damage now, but it can fall over. So yeah, whether you go more down the infantry heavy list, which does a lot more damage now and the strats are more useful, not having Nemesis Dread Knights, you start, say for example, Josh played a infantry spam list this weekend, which in all intents and purposes, very, very good. But if you can't kill Vindicators, then you're going to have a rough time. So it was quite easy for Josh in the end. So it's a tough one.
I'm very interested in both Warpaint and actually Star Shatter just fucking died, right? Which is, by the way, we haven't mentioned that for some reason, and especially after the nerfs. Star Shatter just rolled over and died.
Yeah.
Which is incredible to me that this happened, and it is actually that unpopular in top teams especially, which is fair. I think it turned out like a 12 to 8 army that got nerfed even harder.
Well, the outrage on release was horrific. So,
which is, I mean,
yeah, when you actually,
I don't think it was fair. That was one point that I was still following 40k, but my take on that was Necrons didn't have that good data sheets, so even those rules weren't like that obnoxious. Like they were obnoxious, but like you didn't have units to support them.
It was kind of if you looked at it on face value, okay, all the enhancements, all really good. Generically, all very good. The strats, all really good. The detachment ability, these are all generically very, very good. And then you put them on top of Necrons and they're like, yeah, they're okay. They're kind of fine. But if you actually started playing games with it and going, well, actually I can play around Doomsday Arcs and it's okay. But like people weren't actually going, oh, it's not actually that busted. But then you had some people on podcasts saying it's the worst thing that's happened to 10th, even though they forgot Eldar existed. So,
hot take, and to know that, and I don't even know if it's a hot take anymore. I think it's a lukewarm take. Hypercrypt is way fucking better.
Losing the 3-inch deep strike hurts a lot.
It is. I think it's still better than Star Shatter.
I would agree, although it's a lot harder to play like the monolith version now.
Yep. 100%.
I think you have to play around with different versions.
Then we got a question to me. Is the double turn a true test of skill or pure cope?
Skill.
Actually, there is that, but I love the design space that they created for themselves because I see they decided to keep the fucking double turn in the game, which you can do with an army that has double fighting on like 2 units, and and in AOS, by the way, charging works like you roll a charge roll and then you move, and then you pile in, and then if you end up within 3, you just hit them. You do not declare anything; you just move, guaranteeing that you once get into engagement range and some quirks. So in a game that you have double moves, which essentially mean you have to have 6-inch layer of screen, and you have double fights, 6-inch screens, and you have only 5 or 6 units in your army, sometimes means you lose on turn 2, 20-0. Hence why Arek, who took the most obnoxious army, that's, by the way, it's called STD, and I think it's very, very, very fucking fitting, because it's Slaves to Darkness, but it is short-handed to STD. And Arek played total of 2 hours at this event, scoring like 70 points. While losing 20-0, and 3 times winning within 5 minutes because he got double turn and just killed his opponent.
Yeah. Sounds
Great
right.
design. But at the same time, if you're not an army that's very good at that, it was quite often that neither me or my opponent would take double turns because the benefit wasn't good enough because you cannot score secondaries, and every secondary is like 2 differentials. And then for the rest of the game, if you took double turn, you are at disadvantage. There are like additional hindrances because of that. So they did some changes, but still, if you're an army that just tables your opponent, you just table them. And it's a very bad experience. So still awful thing. Please remove it. Yeah.
How do you see World Eater's team role in this new Wild West meta? Nothing changed in my opinion, but I am famously wrong on World Eaters and have been for so many. Like, I can finally attest that I've been fucking bullshitting with World Eaters and like Anthony knew best for all the time. And now I thought the new detachment was ass and Josie's fucking up everybody with it. So World Eaters are the same as they were to me. They are melee. They are one of the best, if not the best, melee pressure army, which just stages. They like the scrum. They need to avoid some of the matchups horribly, or they will get absolutely fucked, demolished, shredded. If they don't get those, and you're a very good player at that particular playstyle of applying controlled aggression, or how to pressure your opponent to come out and actually face you, for you to not have to throw yourself at your opponent, but instead win by default kind of situation and creating those types of situations, they are still amazing at that. I think nothing changed for them, actually. The meta kind of evolved around them. Typhus, what parts of AOS have you enjoyed more?
I'm muting myself, so...
Yeah.
What parts of AOS have I enjoyed more when compared to 40k? It is also enjoyment and disenjoyment. I enjoyed how fucking simple and straightforward it is, and how you are playing with 6 units. I enjoyed it because it was just something refreshing, but that's kind of the only thing that I enjoyed. What parts have I missed? Backup plans, any ways of having, well, how do you call it when you have like few units to do one thing in case something fails? Backup plans, I guess.
Redundancy.
Redundancy. Thank you. So that depth, skill expression, interesting rules, design that requires you to move around the board. I don't know, man. Like, there is not much great except the fact that it's not 40k for a weekend. In all fairness, like, it felt like a beer game. Slightly better, but still a game that you play while drinking beer. Okay.
Do you think it is going to be easier or harder to push for big differentials?
From what I've seen from the result at ITT, it didn't change much. If you look at the army,
WTC, yes. ITT, no. It's kind of a thing in, how do I say this respectfully? But it is usually the case where if you have 700 people at an event, 100 are good, 20 are very good, 5 are world class. The likelihood of you playing a really good person usually is less likely. Same with going to LGT with 800 people. Same to going to LVO with over 1,000 people. It's just kind of one of those, you can stat pad your results a little bit, which is not necessarily like a true test of where your list is.
I can earnestly say I am not sure. I think it used to be comparatively, I think it was very difficult actually, and pusher roles and pusher armies were very hard to come by, which was one of the issues when team making, I think, composition in 10th previously. I legitimately am not sure what's the situation right now. because I haven't seen enough results for me to say it's gotten very much particularly easier, but maybe a little bit. I think the answer to that question for me specifically will be Pyras results. If I can see people scoring 20s there, it's gonna be a big deal.
Agreed.
So, what role is it? A premium, pusher, blunter, etc. Are you guys coming to Lebanon in April? I still do think pusher roles are harder to combine. I think a lot of armies can take a blunter lore role in much bigger capacity, and it's way easier to be a very universal army that plays everything for an 8 to 12. I actually think those armies are way easier to combine than an army that will, with some protection, give you incredible scores. Maybe that changes with elves. I think they are exactly this type of army. I think there are some couple of more. I think the Slash Demons come to mind in this as a new army that came out of the detachments and the new meta. That is this type of thing. But in general, pusher role is still, I think, harder to combine. And are we coming to Laban in April? I don't know yet. Typhus?
I will be on the Galapagos Islands, so I don't think I will be at.
Nice. Nathan, any plans for Team England?
Is there an AOS tournament on the Galapagos Islands?
Ooh.
What? Sorry.
Is there an AOS tournament happening at the Galapagos Islands?
Surely. Yeah. I'll be taking my 5 Bloodthirsters.
Although I keep seeing an advert. This is like tangent. I keep seeing an advert for a 40k tournament in Phuket in Thailand, and I don't know if it's real or not because it says like it's you get $1,500 prize fund and it's free entry. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Sounds a bit too good to be true. Anyway, free advertising.
Worst case, we go to Thailand.
Oh no, worst case. You can't go. You're married. It's not ideal for you. But no, I don't know where England is with Alpine for April. It would be nice to go and defend our rings, but I don't know if I'm going or others are going to.
So that was
is real,
and there are only like 2 slots left. So get them while they're hot.
I'll message.
Let's go.
I can see you boys going. Like I can absolutely see you guys just going.
I can't see us returning. things will go wrong, but yeah. Oh, cool.
The general idea is this year we are not attending in the same squad at Laban. Instead, boys are going to
I think
BFS.
it clashes with BFS.
Exactly.
So it was the discussion whether that or BFS, and we are doing BFS for a change.
And I love
Because
this
WTC is in Lebanon, and we are not feeling like going to Lebanon 2 times in a year.
That's kind of also the thing.
Yeah.
With the rise in the UKTC running team events, do you think
That
will help Team England, or will it still be 8 single players?
I want to hear Nathan's answer.
I want to hear NASA's answer, but we don't have him here, so I'll settle for Nate.
I think England this year it's a bit of a rebuild year. I think the team dynamic will be really good this year, and I don't think it will be built on singles players. Even though that's not necessarily a bad thing to have singles players, they are still good. I think the UKTC tournament circuit probably doesn't help England players. Similarly to the reason I said earlier, where winning UKTC GTs is really hard, but you don't necessarily play top players until like unless you draw somebody earlier. It's usually like maybe around 5, maybe around 6, maybe around 7. So that sometimes can give you false information. It was like, oh, I've played this Ultramarines army and I beat it, but you didn't play a top level player, whereas say an event in Poland, you go, there's 40 people here, like they used to be in the UK, but of the 40 people, 40 people, 10 are WTC players and or applicants, another 10 are close to that. So
Sure. Let's say that.
But of your 5 games that you're probably going to play,
we get maybe 2 good. If we're talking a team event, we probably get two rounds that are competitive.
Yeah.
My opinion on this is kind of mirrors yours. I think those events were never a problem, as in like they are so different to WTC, as in like that it's legitimately the format is so different, with the terrain is so different, that I think actually if you were to go super into that and super practiced for that, for example, it would make you kind of worse at WTC because they are so different.
Yeah, I think to some extent it is hindering you.
Oh, it is.
To some extent, yeah.
If we're not playing on enough private games on WTC terrain, you definitely get false information. It's why I said earlier.
And also, most of the UKDC games are not on differentials, right? So
nope. Most people are just. I don't need to stop you scoring. If I get A5, as long as you don't get A6, I'm good. Yeah, it's one of those. I think it's not. You're not playing WTC, so it's not helping you practice for WTC. It's just that simple. It's a different game.
Yep. All right.
And I have one question from Adam that I think is very important that we talk about before we end, and you Pumba give us plugs. And that is,
not going that, by the way.
if England is no longer the team to hate, who do we hate on next? There must always be one.
Ooh.
And I think that this is a good one. This is the best question we've got today.
Why are they not the team? No longer the
Exactly.
team to hate? I don't get that exactly. Adam, when did we establish that?
I do think we need to earn not to be hated. That would be good.
You still will have NAS.
Yeah, that is very true.
Valid.
And you won't have Vic.
Was Vic a pro
I
or
don't know.
Negative? I don't know.
Who do we hate now?
I don't know.
I would like to say the French because they won, but I love them too much to do that to them.
Yeah.
Maybe Sweden, actually.
No, Sweden's great.
I know, but how great can you?
They always take weird, wacky lists and do well in it.
And come fourth.
I mean, there's always Italians.
What have they done recently? Is beat one of the best teams and multiple times over again to just go fourth every single time for some reason. I don't know, man. Get good.
I don't know.
Someone just USA. I don't know.
US. I can't.
But I like half of them.
Exactly. I love those fuckers.
It's fine, guys. You can just carry on hating.
Will England step up and become the heel again?
We're trying not to.
Or maybe Poland, because me and Pumba and Duda are out.
That's a spicy take. Maybe Poland.
Because hey, me, you, Pumba, Duda, Gito, we are out.
I don't know, man.
Anyway,
we need to. That's a good, actually, good thought to end on. Nice, good thought to end on. I'm not doing plugs. I'm sorry, guys. I'm
neither. We talked already with the intro, so
yeah. Right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And thank you for joining us for this comeback episode. And we'll see you in another one in 3 months, or hopefully
Pyra.
2 weeks probably. Before Pyra or after Pyra.
2 weeks should be Pyra lists. So yeah.
Yep. That's the idea. All right. Thank you again, and goodbye, everybody.